I'm with the 2017 facelifted Xcent, Hyundai's compact sedan that has got a few key changes to it. Let's see what it's like. For starters, let's take a quick look at the new design. The big change, of course, is that it looks very different from the Grand i10, especially when you look at it head-on. The new nose is bold and in your face, and that big cascading grille really does stand out. Alongside the grille and placed low are a pair of horizontally located fogs with LED surrounds, and the chin of the new Xcent also has air inlets in the bumper. These help channel air around the front wheels and create what is known as an air curtain, thus improving aero efficiency. Whereas the new grille clearly gives the car a strong identity, it also does look a bit over the top and a half size too big for the nose of the car. Around the back, new larger tail lights wrap around the rear and look very Audi-like, and because the base of the bumper has been widened, the rear looks extremely muscular too. The biggest change on the inside is noticeable in the form of the updated 7-inch touchscreen. It uses the same software as that used on its big sister, the Elantra, and the system allows drivers to use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a host of other really useful apps. What's also evident on the inside is a huge step up in quality in comparison to other cars in this class. The finish of the steering, in fact, is so good, the detailing so fine, it could pass muster on a much more expensive car. And the same goes for the gear lever. The cabin, however, isn't too wide, especially when you're sitting 3 abreast in the back. As earlier, the Xcent gets some of its basics right. There's a good amount of legroom here, excellent thigh support, and though the backrest is a bit reclined, it's an extremely comfortable seat. The problem is it's not too wide, so it's basically for 2 passengers, and yeah, Hyundai haven't changed these fixed headrests for the front seat, which isn't really good for safety. Hyundai has also improved bump absorption and ride quality. And acoustic isolation is so good, you hardly ever hear the suspension at work. Whereas the earlier Xcent used to crash through some of the sharper bumps and ridges, this one is much more rounded. They've made it more supple, it's more absorbent, and they've even managed to make it a bit more stable, so there's less bounce. It really is pretty nice. And another thing that makes a huge difference is the fact that this is probably the best insulated car in its class. There's a nice hush that comes over you when you close the doors, and it's not something you experience in other competitors. What also makes a huge difference is that this car is so much better to drive. Let's start with the engine, which at 1186cc is now both larger in capacity and more powerful. It now makes 75 horsepower and 190 Newton meters of torque. What Hyundai has also done with this 3-cylinder 1.2 diesel is given it a bit more pep. So when you put your foot down at around 2000 or 1500 RPM, there's a nice surge to it. And that actually makes all the difference. It makes the car a bit more effortless to drive, it makes it much lighter on its feet, and you can enjoy the car and not have to pull it hard all the time. The best way to drive this car as a result is to use the extremely accurate gearbox and keep the motor on the boil, above 2000 RPM. Drive the Xcent in this manner and performance is quite strong and effortless. A huge improvement over the earlier car. Power, however, tails off pretty quickly. The sweet spot in the power band is quite narrow and it's all over by around 3500 RPM, after which the Xcent doesn't accelerate quite as strongly or as smoothly. A bit of a rattle emanating from under the bonnet. Even flat-out performance is much better. 0 to 100, for example, now takes just 15 seconds as against 18 for the earlier car. Of course, what's absolutely delightful in this car, as earlier, are these lovely light controls. The clutch is super, the gearbox is just so sweet, there's a nice positive throw, and the steering, they've made that a bit nicer too on this car. So all in all, a really light and stress-free car to drive. With its updated looks, improved engine and more mature ride and handling, the facelifted Hyundai Xcent is a big step forward over the earlier car. It's nicer to drive, more comfortable to sit in, and even comes with a large and practical boot. All these changes mean the Xcent will cost more, and here are the new prices. If you're in the market for a compact sedan, it just could be the car for you.